Hey friends, it's Becky here back with Bountifully Blessed. Today you are joining me out in my lovely garden space here. I'm just pulled up, all cozied up next to all of my wonderful space, and I am getting ready to deal with all of my garlic. Now, this is my first garlic season, which I'm extremely excited for. And I actually have a cool new little garden bed that I used last year at my grandma's house, and I got it online. I think I actually got that one on Amazon. So when we actually do the planting, I'll show you, but that's on the other side over here. And I thought it'd be fun to just kind of get a game plan here with my garlic. So I'm very excited. As you can see, it's not a ton, but I'm excited to grow some garlic. One, because if I grow it, it's going to be something that's mine, and it's also going to be something that is a different variety than you'd normally find in the store. So I'm very excited. I found some music garlic is what it is. It's a hardneck variety. If you're not familiar with garlic, there are two different types of garlic. You have what's called a hardneck variety and a soft neck variety. And so this is a hard neck, and literally the neck is hard, as you can see. It doesn't move. What's actually quite nice about that is it makes them more hardy when it comes to cold months. So I have a very interesting winter, we'll say. Winter for me in my state. I'm in Utah. And so winter is kind of, we'll just say it's its own thing here, but it can get quite cold. So I wanted to make sure that I was prepared for anything. And so I figured since it was my first year, I would go with something that is supposed to be a good variety for my area. And then on top of that, what I'm most excited for is it's called Music. That's the variety I chose. One, I am a musician. I play the piano. I'm actually a piano teacher. And I thought it would be really fun to try a variety with a fun name. And so my husband and I actually, when we first got our garlic in the mail, I ordered it online. And I was very excited because it gave us a chance. We actually took out one head out of the pack that I got. I didn't get a large amount, as you can see. I don't have a lot of space, and it's my first year, so I figured I would really, get a feel for it first before I go crazy. Plus, honestly, being in an apartment, I don't have a lot of space, so there's only so much I could do. So with that, I had a couple of reasons for why I chose the particular variety that I did. So I'm very excited about this. I'm assuming that I'll probably have about 40 cloves at the end of it. And what's kind of cool when I was learning more about how garlic works is, like most things, you actually have like seeds, right? Well, you don't have seeds in this case. You actually just have the full clove of garlic that you're planting, which is quite fascinating to me. So it's very unique, which is just fascinating to me. So I am over here. I've got my garlic. I've got a bag to collect all of my papers, and I'm just breaking the cloves apart. Something that I did think was kind of cool. So with the garlic that you get in the stores, you are looking at a, obviously there's only certain varieties that they offer. I have no idea what varieties my store offers, but I did find it quite fascinating because the type of garlic that I got does not have a lot of cloves in each head. So like this one I just broke open only has 3 cloves in it, and the previous one had 4. But these guys are huge in comparison to even the ones that I normally get in the stores. You have like a lot more heads or cloves of garlic rather, and the heads are decent size, but you don't get a whole lot of garlic. Like you do, but you don't. You can have like your occasional like really good size clove of garlic. But otherwise, for the most part, they're all pretty random in size. You have those like really teeny tiny microscopic ones that you're like, why am I going to bother peeling this? Because that's just a pain. At least that's how I am. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but that's my thing. So I am just enjoying the process here. Something else that I thought was really fascinating when I first got this garlic in, of course, I want to get a feel for it. I want to literally feel it. I want to smell it. I want to taste it. One thing I did find very fascinating, my husband and I, we obviously peeled them and we were like, we should see what these taste like, you know, get a good idea for them. Their smell was very mild in comparison to what you would think of like the garlic you get in the store. However, they are very deceptive. They are a very like mild garlic in the way that they smell, but man, do they pack a punch. Like you get garlic. There is no doubting that that is a garlic clove, and it's delicious. One other thing that I found was super, super fascinating with this particular variety of garlic is, I don't know if you experience the same issues, but whenever I do garlic and I'm peeling them, one thing that I can say that I absolutely hate is how gross and like sticky and grimy my hands feel when I've peeled garlic. I think you probably know what I'm talking about if you deal with garlic. It does not matter how many times you wash your hands. It does not matter what you do. It always leaves like what feels sticky. And I'm assuming it's just based on the garlic variety. At least that's the only thing that makes sense. Sorry, I do have an area that has a lot of vehicles around me, so you just might have an occasional loud boom of someone driving by. But that is okay. I may not have the complete and quiet serenity out here like some of you lucky folks are, but it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy spending the time out here. It is a gorgeous day out here. The sun, it's kind of funny. So the apartment that we're in, the sun comes like over top of the building, and it doesn't actually start shining in our windows until like 12:30 in the morning, or I guess the afternoon technically. And then it only shines in our windows for like 4 hours. You'd never guess that I have succulents chilling in the windows that somehow are thriving. Don't know how that's possible because they require full sun, which is at least 6 or more hours. But they do amazing in that window for some odd reason. But one thing that I really love is it's not late in the day yet, but because of the way that the sun comes over and the way that the buildings are around my area, the sun is blocked in the morning until about 12:30. And then I'm sitting out here, it's 4:30, and it is so cool. Like you can see the sun behind me, obviously, but this garden area is blocked because of the building that's actually in front of me and on the side of me. So this is like the perfect time to be out here. It's 70 degrees, it's windy. It's just a gorgeous day out. I cannot complain one bit. So it may not be perfectly surrendered. Hold on. Oh my goodness, I am struggle bussing. It's not a completely serene. Got it. it's not a perfectly serene area as far as quietness goes. I do have a bunch of houses that are behind me on this side, and it's kind of funny because I'll be recording and I just have random people walking by, and I'm just like, yeah, what you up to? Don't mind me, just chilling here peeling some garlic. Don't mind me, just out here enjoying my garden. Whatever it is. I love it. And I'm making the best use with my space. So one other thing that I thought was really interesting on the garlic topic was, so I was mentioning how it like makes my hands like all sticky and grimy feeling. But that was like the very first thing I noticed with this garlic is it's not like that at all. It's actually, it's a type of porcelain garlic. And I don't know if that's what it is. I would assume so, but it's very like hardy, very like kind of rough almost. Like it's not something that you can just like, you can't just push into it. It's not soft, if that makes sense. And then on top of that, it is like smooth on the outside. It's not grimy. It's not gritty. It's smooth. And it was weird because like I'm literally sitting here playing with garlic cloves, like playing with them like this. I'm sitting out here. I don't have access to a sink, and like my hands, you would never, other than the slight smell of garlic on my hands, you would never guess that I was around garlic. It's amazing. Like, I'm already in love with this garlic, and I haven't even grown it yet. And I'm already loving all of the things about it. So I'm very, very excited to get this in the ground and just enjoy what comes next. My husband and I actually, we were just talking, and I was enjoying just getting to talk to him about how much patience that the garden has really taught me. Not that I was an impatient person before, but there's a whole nother level of patience that growing a garden gives you. There's a completely different experience of growing something and watching it thrive and just learning that it's going to take time. That I think was definitely the hardest thing for me to learn when I first started a few years back, is I lived out here. I lived out in the garden. I was sitting out here. I would just sit 9 o'clock at night. I would just chill out here. We have a light that comes on by the garden space, and I would catch myself just sitting here forever. And nothing was ever getting done anywhere else. I was just living out in the garden. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's because I was coming out here and I was like, has anything changed? What about now? What about now? Like, okay, Rebecca, you literally just planted these things. They're gonna take time. Give yourself some time, give yourself some patience, and just enjoy the process. And that was something that was very difficult the first year. Definitely was the hardest, because not only was I living out here, but I was so afraid that I was going to miss something, whether it was good or bad. What if they get disease? What if they get this thing? And unfortunately, I did kind of got hit with what felt like every kind of disease possible when it came to like my herbs and everything that I had decided to put outside. My peppermint was like, I can't remember even what it's called, but I got major bug infestation with my peppermint, and I was so sad because it was like kind of defeating. But I didn't want to stop. I'm stubborn, and it just made me want to try that much harder to figure out what I can do better. What could have I done to prevent that? Now, I have no idea what I could have done to prevent it, if I'm being completely honest, because I look back on it now and it was like I was doing everything that I knew how to do as a brand new gardener. And I by no means have expertise at this point. I definitely have been learning and growing, just like we all do at certain stages. But I'm also very stubborn, and I'm like, where there's a will, there is a way. And so instead of putting my herbs out in the garden outside, because they seemed like they were more likely to get pests. I don't know why. I don't know if it was my gardening season. I don't know if it was what I planted. I don't know if it was what some of my other neighbors had planted out here. And so it just made me more susceptible. I honestly have no idea. All I can tell you is that now I like to grow my herbs indoors. I have this fabulous little greenhouse that I have in my apartment. I have a grow light, and that is where all of that gets done. I do my herbs there now because I would much rather have access to see and know exactly what's going on right then and there and watch them. And honestly, it's nice to just have them close by too, because then I can literally just walk from my kitchen to my living room and pick out whatever herbs I want for my from my garden that's indoors. And I can prune off some fresh basil. I can prune off some fresh thyme. I can do my rosemary, whatever it is. It's nice to have the option to have it dried, and I do have a lot of dried things because everything has a season when it dies. Even when you do it indoors, I have still struggled with things staying alive past fall. Obviously, they can sense something about the temperatures, even if they're indoors. And so I keep restarting them every year. And then as time goes on, I start to dry them so that way they don't go to waste. Because even if it's not fresh, fully fresh, it's still fresh from the garden and it's dry. And it tastes a bajillion times better than if I had got it from the store. Because who knows how long that's been sitting there. And it just is not nearly as potent, and it doesn't even taste nearly as good. And it's not as rewarding either. I definitely like to reap the reward of putting in the time and the effort to something like this. It's really encouraging for me. Very, very beneficial. But I could talk about those things all day, every day. So I am just enjoying peeling some garlic. Now, anyone who peels garlic knows that it can be a little bit of a time-consuming process. That is definitely something I can say I noticed firsthand with the Music garlic, is all of those other amazing qualities. If I push down on with a knife like I normally would to pop off any of the outside, it's still not 100% effective. And it's because it's got like this really, really thin layer that coats the cloves. And no matter what I did to smash it, that part likes to just stick. Did not matter what I did, at least when I was given a try. I'm sure I'll learn some tips and tricks the more I deal with it. But for now, I figured I can mess with it in the house and stand and not be out in the garden and want to hurt things. Or I could enjoy just sitting out in the garden, taking my time, enjoying the space, enjoying just the amazingness that the garden brings, the joy, the comfort of getting to see all of the things coming to fruition. All of these peppers that I've been staring at, waiting for them to do something. But patience. Patience is definitely a huge one when it comes to gardening. You have to be patient. And honestly, that has been one of my most favorite things now, is even though I want to do something with it now, one thing that I can say for certainty is I am so incredibly thankful that things do take longer to grow and mature, because if they didn't, oh my word, can you imagine how overwhelmed we would be trying to figure out what in the world we're going to do with what we have? Like, I am not one to do any of the canning things really 100% yet. I've got a couple things that I've been working on that with, but the space that I'm in, canning is just a little bit more of a thing that I would love to do, but I also have to remember how much time and space that can take up. And so, especially in my case, I look at all of this bounty that I have and the peppers. What am I going to do with all those peppers? There are different kinds of peppers. Some of them I don't even know what they are. But I also wasn't planning on my jalapenos not being spicy either. So I already had a plan for those, but that plan changed. And had I not paid attention to the development and the non-spicy jalapenos, I would not have had time to think about what I was going to do with them, because I had plans for them knowing that they're going to be spicy, but that plan changed because they somehow came out sweet. I still have no idea why, but I'm very thankful that they did, because it's given me more of an opportunity it's given me more of an opportunity to sorry, that was loud. It gave me more of an opportunity to be able to utilize what I had for paprika. And I've enjoyed making paprika before, but the peppers that I have are really tiny, and I don't know, there's just something about growing it yourself and then making it happen versus going and buying it in the store and making it happen. But either way, I am very thankful that things don't just grow and then ripen, because if things did happen that quickly and I didn't have a plan for it, that would be extremely overwhelming to try and figure out what in the world am I going to do with something that I have no idea what I'm going to do with. And then on top of that, not knowing what the next step is going to be. Ugh. And then it's going to end up, getting wasted, or maybe it's not going to be utilized to its full capacity because it happened too quickly. So in that case, I'm extremely thankful for the patience. It's very, very, it's very helpful. It's very beneficial. I just love it. I do now. I didn't the first year. The first year, I wanted everything to happen right now. I didn't have a game plan though, and I can tell you that first year was definitely a challenge for things being ripened and being utilized. Because once they started ripening, I had a lot of things change and I had no plan. I just knew I wanted to do it. And things didn't really change for me until last year when things were changing here at my apartment complex and I couldn't even grow things outdoors because they were changing things out here and I didn't even know if I would have this space anymore. And so that's what encouraged me to do what I could indoors even more so. It really pushed me. So I was like, forget this. I'm getting a grow light. I'm going to start doing my own seeds. Literally the second year, I was like, I want to just grow my own things. Like, why can't I do that? Nothing's stopping me except for myself. So I did it. And now from last year, where my grandma was my prime gardener, I have been able to not only utilize my space again, but actually have a rhyme and a reason for what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and not just doing it to do it. Like, it's fine to just grow something to just grow something. That's why I think flowers exist. Oh, I just broke that garlic clove. Sad face. Okay, well, that one's going to go in the house and we're going to use it. But flowers are their own everything. I love flowers. I have flowers and a lot of plants in my house. But I don't feel like it's a useful amount of my space here because I want to grow what I can outside that is going to be something that's not just for beauty's sake. Because let's be honest, looking at all of these fabulous things, about that, friends. My wonderful husband just checking up on me. I've not had the best couple of days physically, so he just wanted to make sure that I was okay and that I'm not overheated. And honestly, I could live out here right now. Not like that's hard for someone who loves being out in this space and the weather, and it's just beautiful. It's magnificent. But as I was kind of talking about, it's just flowers are absolutely wonderful, but I don't feel like that's a useful part of my space here as much as growing something that's not only beautiful, because plants in general I think are beautiful, but they don't have that vibrancy necessarily that you're going to get from flowers. But flowers have their own specialty, so to speak. So I think everything in the garden is just gorgeous. There's certain aspects of different parts of it that are just absolutely incredible. But at the same time, I would have probably grown way more this year had I realized that no one else was going to utilize these garden boxes. It's actually kind of funny. So you can see them all behind me, and none of the other ones that they offer are being used. And our office manager had actually let us know that there were a lot of people that were asking about them, and then no one else did anything. And had I realized that, I honestly would have taken advantage of that and utilized multiple different garden beds. I would have highly taken up as many as I could and could handle. Only big downside is I do have to hand water everything, and there's not a source of water down here. So I have to bring everything in a wagon. I have jugs that I use for all of my water, and I fill those up and I bring them down here and I water everything. So obviously I would have probably had to make multiple trips if I had done that. So it's probably better that I didn't, but I would have definitely probably at least used one other one for some other crops, but clearly that was just not meant to be, and that's okay. I get to enjoy the space that I have. and really utilize what I have right now. And sometimes that's the best aspect. So anywho, it's going to take me a minute to get all of this garlic peeled. So I am going to get this all peeled, and then we will be back when I'm going to actually plant these beauties in the ground. I'm so excited, guys. Oh, I just can't wait. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And so I'm going to get these all peeled, all ready to go, and then I am going to plant these lovelies in their space, which I'm also excited to share with you because it's a separate garden box that's mine. So I can utilize what I have, and it's actually going to make a lot more sense for the space that I have and a lot less effort, because these other garden beds, they've been taken care of a little poorly, to say the least. Lots of weeds and a lot of junk that is just in them. And so it took a lot of effort to get this garden bed ready this last year at the beginning of spring. And so it's nice to not have to go through all of that process and annoyance for my garlic, because garlic is a lot more of a shallow kind of root system on it. And so I can actually plant it in something a little bit more shallow and not quite as wide, which is going to be really, really great. So it's going to be absolutely incredible. So I will be back once all of this garlic is peeled. I've got quite a bit. These are beautifully big cloves though, so I'm really excited for that. You can never have too much garlic. So I'll be back when we are ready to plant in the ground. So excited. I'll be back. Okay, friends, we are back after much time spent peeling this lovely bowl of garlic. There's quite a few in here that we're not actually going to be planting. Unfortunately, I've got some that are looking a little rough for wear. So as you can see, this one is moldy, but I'm going to see if the whole thing is moldy or not. And then as you can see, some of these are looking, I don't exactly know what causes this. I don't know if it's like dry, but even still, I've got quite a few of those that are not going to be utilized, because obviously if I plant cloves looking like that, there's a good chance that the cloves that are going to come afterwards are not going to look good. So I've got 6 total cloves that we are not planting due to that. We'll see if I can make any use of them at home. I've got one that's really, really tiny here, and this is the one I accidentally broke. So those ones are going to get utilized in the house, because the size of clove that you plant is a representation of the size of the actual head of garlic that you're going to get. So the bigger the better. So as you can see, these are really good sized cloves. So let me just make sure I didn't miss any. This one's looking a little rough as well. I'm tempted because that one's really simple. It's kind of a dainty one. We'll give it a try and see. Same with this one. It's not ideal, but I think we'll be able to make those ones work as well. So a couple I got have just a couple of little holes, like spots on them. I only got 2 that look like that, and this one's the bigger one. So I'm just going to plant those and see if that's going to be an issue. We'll see. So I still have a good handful of garlic here. So what I have learned from looking up different things about growing garlic is the goal is to plant them roughly about 6 inches apart or so. I've seen some gardeners that I really like to watch that have planted them super close together and have had no issues. But one, I have a good size space for the amount of cloves I have, and also I am not trying to make any big mistakes as this is my first year gardening. So I've got this cool little grow box here. As you can see, I got this on Amazon. I liked it because it's modular. So you can piece it together how you want. You can add to the sides and make it taller. You can add it and make it wider. So I really liked that functionality of it. But I also liked because garlic comes very shallow when it grows. And so you've got this lovely pointy end here of the garlic. And then the bottom part here, that's where the roots are going to come out of. So with that, that's how we're going to be planting them, is root side down with the pointy end up. And I am going to be mulching this. We do have winter in my location, so I want to make sure that they are going to be okay for the winter. So what my plan is to stick these guys in the ground. I think, let's see, I don't exactly know how many I have. So let's get a count here. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, oops, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Look at that, an even number. And even more after taking those few that are really rough for wear out. I still have, I was estimating about 40 cloves. So that is really encouraging to me. How cool is that? So if I have 42 cloves, let's see how these sections are. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections that are squares. I'm just trying to see how I can math this out the smartest and get a good game plan there. So I'm going to do 7, 14, 21, 28. So 7, I can do 2, 3, that'll be 9 roughly in each of these. I'm just kind of doing a little bit of an idea here. So roughly like that. So that'll be 9 times 4. So yeah, roughly about, let's see, 8 times 4 is 32. And 9 is 45. So I feel pretty confident about that number. So basically that gives us 3 that won't have 9 total. So what I'll do is I'll space them out like that. And what I've been learning about garlic here is planting them about 6 inches apart to, they need to be at least a minimum of 3 inches deep. So as you can see, I'm not planting them 3 inches deep yet. I am actually just kind of getting a game plan for where I'm putting them, seeing if the spacing looks about right. And then I'm going to make sure that these guys are covered in well. Since we do have winter here, and I am going to be mulching them, I'm still planning on what's the word? Oh, I'm still planning on putting them in the ground a little bit with a little bit more intention. So roughly 3 inches under is what we want. But ideally, I'm going to probably do about 5 inches. Why am I short? That gives me 6 cloves. Trying to think of the smartest way to do this. That is always the challenging part, isn't it? is it not? Okay, let's see. It's quite a good little space here. So I'm going to try and just, with 6 of these, let's see. Quite a few smaller ones here. Put like just a couple here in the center. They're going to obviously be a little closer together, but that's okay. I'm not mad at it. There we go. There we go. And there we go. All right. So, no biggie. All right, let's put our not so great ones here. Okay, so now I want to make sure that these are in the ground good and far. So I make sure that these are a good few inches underground. Obviously, I'm not measuring these. I probably could, but I'm not being too particular. So I want to make sure that they get in the ground really good. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be getting some mulch. I'm going to get some wood mulch that I'm going to put on top of this, and I'm going to layer it a good few inches above it just to make sure that this is nice and protected. It is a hardneck variety, as I kind of mentioned a little bit before, so thankfully I don't have to worry nearly as much about that, but I do need to make sure that they are well protected. And then everything I was reading about was talking about giving it a good watering in, because obviously it's important to do and exactly know how much to do. So I'm just going to kind of gauge it off of what I have here. I do have some other bottles behind me if I needed it. There we go. But I don't want to overwater either. So I think what I'll do is I'll just take a little bit of this, give it a little bit of a nice little covering, make sure that the dirt is good and wet on the top, and I think I'll be okay with that. Zoop. Okay, especially since this dirt's never gotten wet. Obviously it's fresh, so give it a good watering in, and I'll be grabbing some mulch and I'll just layer a good couple inches on there, just to make sure that it stays nice and protected, because obviously I want to make sure that they stay safe during our winter months. So I'm very excited. We obviously will be harvesting this in spring. Actually, most likely, from everything I was looking at, garlic takes about 8 to 9 months. So it's probably going to be more around June or July of next year. So I'm really excited. Our first year garlic, music garlic, and I'm just incredibly excited. And I've got some that I can make some use for right now that could not be planted. Honestly, if I wanted to, I actually wouldn't have had space unless I was going to plant them super close together. So I'm really glad I did not do that. But that is how simple planting garlic is. This is fall garlic, obviously, so it's going to go through winter. And then once the weather starts to warm up after our winter time, we're looking into the beginning of spring in March. I'm going to start seeing some loveliness popping up. I'm so excited, guys. There's nothing quite exciting like garlic, but when you grow your own garlic, it's just, there's something so much more rewarding about that. So I'm really excited. We'll see how it goes, and I'm excited to bring you along this journey. So I pray that you are bountifully blessed. Until next time.